Welcome everyone to a second episode of the Landvault Podcast. Today we have Khalifa joining us. Mo just joined the company. He's basically in charge of handling all of our client projects and managing the delivery of our exciting metaverse experiences. So welcome, Mo, and exciting to have you in the company and exciting to have you on this podcast as well.
Welcome. Welcome,
Thank
Mo.
you, guys. Thank you, guys. Thanks, Sam and Mo. Yeah, it's great being here. I really actually enjoy what Landvault has achieved, and even during the bear market, you guys were still building, so it was kind of a no-brainer. Especially with the initiative coming out of 2030 to have a more of a metaverse presence in the Middle East, and especially Dubai, obviously, where you are based, Sam. Yeah, we've got a lot of exciting things coming, a lot of new technology, a lot of streamlining to better our experience and deliverables to our beloved clients. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Thanks for having me.
Of course, yeah. Awesome. Maybe you can tell us a bit more about your as a high level background, right, into the metaverse. You have a great experience across different type of use cases, from music to more B2B. So take us through that journey and really when did it start and what got you kind of hooked to metaverse and virtual worlds?
Yeah, so it kind of started around 7 to 8 years ago. I primarily used to work in broadcasting, video streaming for VOD services, video on demand, so Sky Sports, Amazon Prime, stuff like that. And then a 3D element came into it when they had 3D cameras and VR experiences, and that piqued my interest. And then I started learning more about like these virtual worlds. And my background is in gaming and games engineering. So over the last 8 years, I was working with one of the biggest game studios. I'm working with one of the founders, and the experience was to create the biggest map size of a game the same size of Earth. And it was using a metaverse experience and having like different protocols, like DeFi protocols and such. So yeah, it was a very great and humbling experience, and obviously going through all the technical and hurdles that you would have experienced at the start of this great era. How you'd have load balance the users that are coming in and such. And we were able to achieve a fully decentralized metaverse experience. And then I moved on to two other experiences. I did the Expo 2020. So that was the virtual expo. I was based in Dubai for almost 18
Dubai,
months.
right? Yep.
Yeah. And we were building that. And it was all built for a metaverse experience for people that couldn't travel because it was during COVID and stuff. So to increase the footfall, we had all the pavilions filmed and recreated as a metaverse experience. And there was a lot of engagement on that, and it was actually a really, really good experience altogether. And it's still live actually to this moment for people to relive these great days. And then the most recent one was one of my favorite, and it was basically creating a couple of music festivals for biggest DJs in the world. So the latest one being Carl Cox, David Guetta, Eric Prydz and such. And it was again creating a metaverse experience where users can come and join, and it was using Unreal Engine, and we had different scripting methodology that made it really interesting for the users to actually experience that. And now I'm here. So yeah.
Really it's awesome. It's awesome that you've seen all these different use cases, right? This is I think 2024 is really going to be the year of the use case for virtual worlds for the metaverse. I mean, it kind of has to be. We went through that huge hype cycle 2 years ago, and then a lot less in terms of activity and hype. But we've seen that, behind the scene, companies like us, we've been really working hard to build real use cases and to get clients that can actually generate some proper ROI and real value from those experiences, not just a marketing campaign. So, and that's the concept of virtual festival. Like I've heard it, hundreds of times, but it's really difficult to make it attractive and to make it better than what you would do by just watching it on YouTube live, for example. So what's the approach? Like, how do you see that bringing real value, bringing something that is truly differentiated and better than the current channels? Because that's the real challenge.
Yeah, I mean, what are the good things that I think you, Sam, and Landvault have actually achieved is basically to educate people on what the metaverse is, right? If you think about those early experiences, you needed like a MetaMask to actually sign in, and it was all very clunky and stuff like that. But now, through experiences that you've done, and Landvault has done actually, you brought this to a younger demographic and an older one. So if you look at like what makes a game or an experience, gain most traction, it's by being easily accessible. So thinking of a game like Candy Crush became so successful because you don't need a lot of instructions, right? You don't need to have a PlayStation. You don't need to know how to play. You just launch it and go in. And with the experiences that Landvault are creating, it seems that we are hitting that like spot on. People can come in and down the line with obviously internal projects that people can actually, instead of going to government entities or going to a bank, they can actually achieve these things by doing it in a virtual environment, which obviously makes everyone happy, makes the business happy, makes the end user happy. And that's where I see us going. I see us being able to do more things in a virtual environment like we've never done it before, with new technologies that are coming in, and now Unreal and Unity and all these other tooling systems that we use in-house, making our experiences, shine out. It's no wonder that, in a very short space of time, we will have more eyes on us and more eyes on the experiences that we create. And yeah, that's where I see us going, to be honest.
Awesome. I like probably, you guys mentioned gamification and games within the metaverse. What are your thoughts about initially people, they thought that metaverse is actually a game, especially when the initial platforms that came about. And then people had set this notion that metaverse is a game, but technically it's not, right? So what do you think? What is your suggestion in terms of changing that mindset for customers till today, like when they think like, oh, metaverse is a game?
Yeah, I mean, I can relate to that because I do remember like back in the day, when you had a website and you'd say, oh, I can do this via a website, my parents would be like, what do you mean you can do that on a website, right? And I think that's where we are in this era, right? We're just starting something new, and being a pioneer in something like Landvault is, it obviously has its own challenges because people will always like question what you're doing and question the status quo. Like, is this really necessary? But eventually, it's not just like, from an experience point of view. We're also tackling like an environment point of view. If I don't have to drive my car and take a plane and do all these things, it actually helps everyone else around us, helps the environment, right? We can connect and do things like never before. It's not just like a web experience where you're waiting to sign in or log in onto something. Now you have this interaction with someone. And the way I always say it, it's like web, Zoom, and gaming all like meshed into one. You have that one experience because we can have in a metaverse, I can play a game with you, or I can have a business idea with you, or I can draw a painting and mint it as an NFT and put it inside that metaverse experience, or sell it even on the metaverse, right? So there's all these different things that we're not able to do in like a traditional game or like a traditional website. So that's why I'm so bullish on the metaverse. And I'm sure in like 10 years people wonder like how we just lived without a metaverse experience before.
Totally agree. I mean, from the numbers as we speak, I mean, a lot of people, the adopters of the metaverse were actually early gamers, and that actually increased the adoption of the metaverse. I mean, I'd like to also touch base upon immersive web and how important it is to have gamification elements within these experiences, because in my perspective, I think that it really engages users. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on this as well in terms of engaging users, why gamification is very important to include them, because a lot of brands or entities somehow they don't want to, basically want to enter this gamification element. But then I'd love to educate our viewers and people who are seeing this to actually tell them how important it is to have gamification elements within experiences.
Yeah, I mean, I did a lecture on this for actually for Binance, and it was basically talking about how gamifying at the moment is pretty bad. And the reason it's really pretty bad because like if we look at what was the most successful game, Axie Infinity, right? And it was all based on like doing the same task over and over and over again just to get some tokens, and then you just sell it on the open market. So that's kind of why it doesn't really kind of work, because as long as the monetary value, exceeds what the community is trying to achieve. So let's say we're trying to build a metaverse experience and we're playing a game, and you're really good at creating 3D objects. So I come to you and be like, hey, Mohammed, can you create me a 3D car so I can go from one area of the map to the other? And I'll pay you in whatever currency we have inside that environment. And because we both are really interested in growing that community, it really thrives. But as soon as we introduce like a coin that goes on the market, things like the love of money kind of overtakes the passion of what you're actually trying to achieve in a game. So looking back on it, on why a gamified experience, you need to have a really good community and really actually try to explain what we're trying to achieve in the game. So looking at that game that I developed for you, well, I was part of the development for it. It was all in-game build. So you are a person that you can build stuff in the game. The currency you get gives you access to more stuff within the game. And then, if you want real world value, so you can mint your NFT and you can sell that, for $1 value or whatever value you want. At the moment, that doesn't really exist. And potentially what the biggest hurdle was for me working on all these games that were gamified, you still have the big studios. They do not want to get into gamify. And that's because if you think of a game like Call of Duty, every year there is a new release, right? Every year you're going to pay 60, 70, 80, even $100 to get a game. And you forget about all the skins, all the weapons, anything you bought in that game, the last release gets wiped out. But with Metaverse and NFT, you can basically own that objective, right? And pull it in. So that's less money for these studios, right? So in the heyday of one of the, I don't want to say the name, but in the heyday of one of the biggest mobile games, they were making about $2 million in game purchases from people buying skins or guns or anyone that's got kids will know this, like will know that their kids will just keep renting them, especially if they're playing like games like Fortnite. So the major hurdle right now is these big studios that I don't want to name, that yes, they see value in the metaverse. Yes, they see value in these amazing Web3 and blockchain experiences, but they're holding back because it means they're going to lose money. And as long as we don't have an equation of how that can be a shared ownership of me building something in a game and sharing it or sharing the revenue with the company, we will always be stuck in this stalemate.
I mean, I don't know, because that also creates a secondary market, right, where you can make money from royalties and assets that have been traded. So I think there's also an element of those studios don't really want to create too much speculative value on top of their games, because that's, risky territory, right? When you have people that some people might end up losing money and suing the company and things like that, which just can't happen in a Web2 game. So I think there's a bit of a fear as well to fully enter that area where there's obviously much more flexibility for people to speculate on the price of items and things like that. But I wanted to touch on something that we said before regarding gamification, because I think you can achieve gamification without Web3, without blockchain, but through game design. And I think what we were mentioning in different words is we basically need to have some intrinsic motivation, create some intrinsic motivation for people, which is motivation that you have within yourself to actually play something. So it can be just because you're having fun, for example, you're just feeling fulfilled, you're learning something. This is intrinsic motivation. Whereas a game like Axie Infinity was all extrinsic, which is earning rewards, earning currency. And that only works, as you say, until the price crashes and there's no more motivation. And then because it's not that fun, the only reason you were there was to make money. If you can't make money, you're not using it. So I think as part of what we design, the goal is to create that intrinsic motivation, which comes from creating value, whatever it is. If it's an e-commerce experience, you have to build something that is more valuable for the user than them going to an e-commerce website. Otherwise, they will default to the easy path, which is the e-commerce website. And if it's a music festival, it needs somehow to be a better experience than seeing it live stream. Probably not than the physical one, but at least it has to be like the second best thing to reality. And I think this is really the challenge, right? Because the internet is, has applications that do a lot of things. Right now we're meeting on Zoom. I think it's a pretty good tool to meet virtually. So when you build a 3D experience for virtual meetings, how do you top that? How do you make it significantly better so that not only it's slightly better, but actually it overcomes the whole friction that people that already have Zoom, and there's millions of people. So I think that's really the challenge where the metaverse is today, is it needs to have value. Of course, it's fun, it's cool, but we want it to become more than just that experiment. We want it to become a utility, something that people use all the time. And I think this is where the work that we do at Landvault is really meaningful, that we have to find those unique use cases and bring that to market to a point where for people, they don't really need to be educated anymore. It's just a better tool and they'll just use it because it's a better tool. They don't need to know that it's metaverse or whatever, NFTs, that's technology, right? That fades into the background, but they need to have a better use case. So I think that's the part that, we will crack this year, one project at a time.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I'd just like to add something as well. I mean, we all, at Landvault, and actually I think any remote position company suffers from, is like that actual human interaction that you would get in an office environment. So, during our, our experiences and our tooling, you have all these people meeting, even though if it's virtual, we can play a game in that metaverse experience that would better my relationship with you, Sam, or you, Mohammed. We'll have better chemistry, and it will like increase our productivity or like our friendship even, especially if we're like in two different countries. So yeah, that's something also that I really like about what we, we're always looking into and trying to crack at Landvault.
Amazing.
I'd love.
Yeah.
Have you guys had the chance to check out the Dubai program for gaming 2033?
No.
I had seen it when it came out a few months ago. Yeah, it's connected to the metaverse strategy, right? It's kind of an extension of the whole thing.
Yeah, I mean, Dubai aims to be the top 10, industry basically for gaming by 2033, and the GDP that they want to achieve is 1 billion. They want to create 30,000 jobs as well.
Well, I thought Saudi did like a really big bid recently, didn't they? They did like a really big bid on.
Saudi has their fingers in Activision Blizzard. They own 6% of that through PIF. They own 5% of Nintendo. They have Savvy Game, which is a $36 billion fund that acquired, I forgot the name, one of the mobile gaming company. They have a stake in Take-Two. I mean, that's because from what I learned, right, it's MBS is a big gamer. And so now he's basically, investing in his passion. So they have a stake in most of the biggest gaming companies. And he sees, or it's very smart, he says that this is the future of entertainment, the future of attention. And so if you have a stake in it, you'll basically grow with it.
This region never fails to impress me. I mean, just imagine these kind of regulations, these strategies are just absolutely phenomenal. I mean, Mo, as a gamer yourself and building games, like how do you feel when you have governments like these, actually supporting your passion in a way, right? How do you feel doing business within the landscape within these regions?
Well, it's really amazing, especially like in these regions, like the exposure to the gaming is really, really high, but nothing has been done on a government level before to basically, support that experience. So if you looked at any game, a lot of the players are from like the Middle East, and some of the really talented players are from the Middle East, but hasn't been a lot of support to support these players. So having these initiatives is really great, and I think they've got like. I think a year ago, I went to Gamer 8, which is one of the biggest, exhibitions in gaming. And actually, it is in the Middle East and it's based in Saudi. And actually, that's really welcomed by a lot of the studios that I've been working with, because finally they can crack into that market and actually look at what needs to be produced. Also, something to consider that there hasn't been one game that's ever been produced in the Middle East. Nothing, never. There hasn't been a AAA title. So a AAA title, not a mobile. So something on Xbox or PlayStation. Nothing has ever been published on that actually came out from the Middle East. So yeah, I mean, I think that's really the race to the moon at the moment. Who's going to come up with the idea? Who's going to have that GTA 6 of the Middle East? I think that's the next thing that we should be looking out for.
Yeah.
But hey, we could be doing it. You never know.
We actually have a project which we'll announce soon, which is it's a racing game, but that takes place in the streets of Dubai. We're building that. A very exciting one, and maybe that's it. I mean, the design, the specs, how it looks is gonna be AAA. It's gonna look really incredible. So, it would be incredible to play a little part in growing that in the region as well.
Yeah, sounds great. Well, this is breaking news, everyone. I didn't know this, so there you go.
I didn't mention the name, so
yeah.
All good. But talking about regions, right? You're from Egypt. I think it's it's the largest, the most populated country in the Middle East, right? 110 million people. I think a lot of people do not really realize that, but and often in the Middle East, you think Saudi, you think Dubai, but Egypt is basically there, and that's a huge beast in terms of the population, a very young country as well. So how do you see those technologies, which obviously apply more to those generations? Like what can this mean for Egypt over the next couple of years?
I mean, yeah, it's great. Obviously, Egypt is one of the oldest civilizations on Earth, so there's some legacy stuff. We still you get the main hurdle at the moment is actually internet connectivity. Not everyone has fiber. You kind of need to be in certain areas to have fiber. But overall, there is really a lot of esports tournaments that happen here. Even like on the streets, you find people just sitting and gaming, and everyone wants to meet. Everyone is interested in having like I've had a few people that would ask me like, why is the pyramids not a metaverse experience, right? Right. We can't travel to Egypt, but we want the pyramids to be in a metaverse experience where we can just look at the tombs and stuff like that. But yeah, overall, it's a massive market, and Landvault is tapping into that now. I think we've got like a project coming up there soon. So yeah, I mean, it's very exciting times, and I know people are eager to actually see what we're actually building. And yeah, we'll keep you posted on that one for sure.
I'm glad you mentioned Egypt, by the way. I mean, I was looking at a report, and they said that Egypt could be, if I'm not mistaken, number 2 or number 3 in the world when it comes to metaverse adoption.
Because they're so much bigger, right? Yeah, it's 3 times
so
the size
bigger.
of Saudi and 10 times the size of the UAE. So if it gets adopted at a high level, you could have a lot more people suddenly.
Exactly.
Yeah, it is too big. I mean, I'll give you a quick example. Like my closest friend lives in Cairo, same place, but is an hour and a half from me, right? That's how big the city is, right? And with like traffic and all these like things, we actually meet and play online, So if you take that and adapt it to a metaverse experience, you're gonna have a lot of influx of people just joining, because like, certain rush hours here, it's pretty unbearable, and people do what they can to actually meet or interact or game. And that's why I'm really bullish on having like a metaverse experience that's actually servicing the Egyptian people. It's actually something that will be really good for everyone. And yeah, I'm sure we will tackle that in no time.
Yeah, it's incredible. So many opportunities everywhere, every direction.
Yeah, exactly.
So Mo, last thing is like, tell us about your daily day or at Landvault. What's your day like?
Okay.
I'd love to know about the typical Mo day in Landvault, right?
Well, he's only had 3 so far, so
I mean, yeah, but it just started off. So let people to get to know you. So let us know what a typical day for Mo looks like, right?
Okay, so you know, I used to, you know, I used to swim professionally, and I'm really into sports. So I wake up early, and I usually train. So that's like one of my biggest things is like training kind of grounds me and makes me think clear. That's when you know, 2 hours in the morning. That's what I do every day, and I've been doing that for years. And then I just listen to, you know, new trends. So in our market, so what's new in blockchain? What's new in the metaverse? You know, what companies doing what? And then obviously we have our stand-up meeting where we actually discuss what we're going to achieve in the day and how we're going to achieve this. So at Landvault, what we really pride ourselves is like we're all in this together. There's no hierarchy as such. Yeah, you might have titles or whatever, but at the end, we're all in this together. So, you know, everyone's transparent, everyone's happy to be here. And I really like that environment, you know, because like it promotes growth. It promotes someone to raise their hand and say, oh, I don't know how to do this. Can we look at this together? And then that will be after the stand-up meeting, it'll be time like to basically look at the builds, look at the delivery schedules, you know, have meetings with you, with Sam, you know, to discuss like potential groundbreaking projects or technologies that we could be looking into. And yeah, and then we have an end of day meeting to discuss how the day went and basically rinse and repeat. And that's what we keep doing. And I'm sure in the future we'll have like, you know, meetups or like more exciting, you know, conferences that we go to together. And yeah, I look forward to that too.
We absolutely will be we're doing the next one in person here in Dubai, most likely. So mark your calendar. We don't know exactly when, but when we're all back in the same country, we'll definitely
Can't
spend more
wait.
time here.
Can't wait.
Awesome.
Amazing. Well,
Warner Brothers.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Mo. And really good to hear your insights. Over to you, Sam.
absolutely. Yeah. Warm welcome to the team. Excited to have you. And yeah, guys, keep tuning in for more insights on Landvault and the metaverse, building the metaverse one project at a time in the Middle East.